broken dreams. He's the open door. People need the Lord. People need the Lord. When will we realize people need the Lord?
Okay, welcome to another edition of Tuesday Bible Time here from the offices of Bible Doctrines to Live By. And we welcome you. I am your host for this evening, Pastor Matthew Ritchie. As you know, Joel and Susan are on the road. And so right now, they are on their second to last scheduled family Bible school of this year. They are in Beloit, Wisconsin, so let's get a little look further into Grace Bible Church. As you can see there, they're on Colony Court in Beloit, Wisconsin. Their address is there. Their phone number is there to contact them to get information. You can also search Facebook for them. I know they have a Facebook page. And they have a website. I encourage you, if you're in the area, to take at least a night to go and visit them and encourage them. And encourage Joel and Susan to one more week, and then you can, come back and be busy here, I guess. So keep them in prayer this week. Pastor Jim Toller, if you go visit, tell he and his wife Missy hello. And greet the saints for me. I was the pastor in Grace Bible Church in Beloit for several years. I can say, go visit that church. Nice family there. Nice Christian family, I guess. So that's where Joel and Susan are this week. And if you've been watching these lessons so far for 8 weeks, you know that we are a ministry that is here to express or to see, because we desire what God desires, that all be saved and come to a knowledge of the truth. And so we do that by, Joel and Susan travel for the summer, doing Bible schools and Bible conferences. The first Saturday in November, I can't think of the date right now, 6th maybe, we have a conference at the Das Essenhaus in Middlebury, Indiana. So that might be something to keep in mind. We'll give you some more information on that as it comes closer. So we do things like that. We also do things like this, where Joel, as you're going to see here in a moment, on Sunday evenings at 5 o'clock, he posts his Sunday Bible hour. He's been doing that from the road, and he'll be taking over here on Tuesday nights once again very soon. Probably going to pick up in his Unfolding the Word of Truth that he was going through before he left for the summer. So we do things like this. Also, we have written literature available from a variety of authors, including founder Lee Hamoki. There's a few books by Evangelist Joel. I mostly concentrate on the youth materials. So we have several things available for youth, whether that would be something you do at home or something you do in the church, or things even for homeschool. And so we have all of that. And if you're interested in any of that or learning more, you can call our phone number here at the office, and you will probably get Cindy, 616-785-3618. If Susan's back, you may talk to Susan too. But there's our email address, staff@BibleDoctrines.org, and of course our website that has several resources there, as well as an online store, BibleDoctrines.org or BibleDoctrines.org. I've already mentioned Evangelist Joel McGarvey, and as he continues to speak on rightly dividing the Word, and that's Sundays at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can watch it on Facebook or YouTube, although during the summer, it usually goes up on YouTube the next day, Monday or Tuesday, depending on how that happens. But also click, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, click on follow. That way you'll get notifications when we do go live or something new post. So we appreciate that. All right. We are now in our study on Evangelism 101, or our class on Evangelism 101. We are on Lesson 9. And today I called it Evangelistic Strategies. There is it's less of a worksheet today. It's more of just information for you to have. So you can certainly follow along with that. There are several ways that you can get a worksheet. If you're watching on Facebook, it'll be up top there. A link, maybe you can click on it. Maybe you'll have to copy and paste it in your browser. The same with YouTube, except it's not up there, it's down there. Do the same to get the worksheet. Or if you're on our website, there's a few things at the top, a rolling ad they call it, and then there's a banner underneath it, and there you can click on print worksheets or Evangelism 101, and it'll take you to the page where you can download the worksheets. So now that we've gone through that, I will also mention, let me make sure I'm not going to mention it later. I am, so I'll just wait. You'll have to wait if I remember to say it. But anyway, today we're going to talk about strategies. And I am going to say right off the bat, I am not a big pusher or promoter of different strategies. I don't think you need to have, I still believe the best way of evangelism, and also the God, I don't want to make it sound also like strategies are ungodly. They're not. Anyway, let me just say it this way. The best way of evangelism that I have seen and experienced is that personal evangelism. We have had more people, I'll say, come to church through someone in the church inviting them than we did going out and handing out invitations. I'm not dissuading you either way, or trying to persuade you either way, but I don't want you to get the wrong idea that if I start to use this strategy, man, the people are just going to fall on their knees and just cry out to the Lord. That's not true. But at the same time, sometimes strategies are very useful. Maybe as a teaching tool, we'll use some that may be good in a children's classroom, or as a kind of an event or a community event. But just ways, the key here that I try to focus on, now that we've gone through 8 or 7.5 lessons or so, talking about what evangelism is and what to know about evangelism, we're moving into the hows and ways to now evangelize. And so these are just some suggestions or some options. I don't want to dissuade you from what I call personal evangelism, that one-on-one or that one-on-a-few, where you're just sharing the gospel with people. But sometimes some of these strategies can be effective and useful. There was a book written a couple decades ago now by Lee Hamoki. That'll pop up again towards the end of our lesson today. But it was on Crusade Evangelism. And basically what this is you're inviting an evangelist or a speaker, or it can even be your pastor, with the purpose of having an evangelism, I'll call it crusade, or evangelistic service. These used to happen all the time. You think of the tent meetings and all of those things. They've kind of waned in popularity lately or currently, but there's still value in crusade evangelism in all its forms. It doesn't have to be a tent like that picture shows and all of that, although that might be something interesting too. But I'm not going to give you the specifics, but here's some things that it involves. It involves prayer. You have to be in prayer. You can't just be planning things and getting it all down on paper. It needs to be bathed in prayer. There needs to be planning. There needs to be organization and structure, especially if you're making it a community event where all the Bible-believing, gospel understanding, gospel preaching churches are getting together with the purpose of getting souls saved. You got to plan it. You got to organize it. You got to structure it, or else it's just going to be chaos. There needs to be promotion. People need to know that it's happening. And so however you decide to do that, the newspaper, flyers, internet, radio ads, billboard, whatever it is. But you need to promote it. Another thing would be publicity, getting the word out. Kind of very simpler, I don't even know what I was going to say, but publicity, very similar to promotion, but there needs to be publicity. Perspiration, these are all from Lee, and it's also neat, they're all P's. But perspiration, whereas it takes work. It takes a lot of, if you've ever done a conference at your church or anything, it takes work. Setting up and making food if you have food and all of those things. And of course it takes preaching. That's the main thing, the Word of God. But it shouldn't just be thrown together because as God is a God of order, we should want to display ourselves in a respectful way. And so even as the center is on preaching the gospel, it still takes prayer, planning, promotion, publicity, perspiration, and preaching. We had, when I was in Beloit, speaking of Grace Bible Church in Beloit, there was the Christian school there. There was 2 times that I got involved with some of the other local pastors in order to bring someone in. One time we brought in Josh McDowell. You may be familiar with him. And so I can kind of relate to a lot of these. It took planning and reaching out to his people and all those things. And also, how are we going to promote it? Let people know. And it took work. But the goal was to get people to understand what is true, especially when it comes to Jesus Christ. So that's one option and one, I guess I'll call them strategy, keep using that word, of evangelism, is to plan this event that gets people curious with the goal of getting them in to be curious enough to come and hear the gospel. Another kind of simpler thing and more, I guess, lower key is for your church to have a special church service. Maybe you call it Visitor Sunday or something. But you have a special church service. And what I mean by that is you pick one Sunday, maybe a few months down the road, where you pick a date. Here I wrote down 2 months from the date. And you set a date. Okay, this Sunday, we are going to have a Sunday specifically to give the gospel. And this is from Lee's book on Crusade Evangelism, I believe. But he here says 2 months from the date. People, and when I've done this in the past, I say, think right now of who the Lord is laying on your heart to invite. And pray for those people. And don't just pray for them, but then make sure you invite them and let them know. But let the Lord lay someone on your heart, or think of someone, if you like that terminology better, and pray for them. Now, it doesn't mean you can't have more than, what does it say here, 4 people, and you're limited to that, but certainly keep it in prayer. And so until the date, pray for those people. Maybe you get others to help them pray for it. And then of course, it says here 2 weeks from the date, invite the people on your card. Maybe it's earlier than that, especially the way people plan things. You might want to put the bug in their ear 2 months out, say, hey, we're having this at church. Keep the date open. But certainly 2 weeks before, send them a reminder or follow up on it. And of course, the reminder that the service should be a service, even if no one comes, okay? That doesn't mean it's unsuccessful. You got the word out, but still keep going with the plan to give a clear, straightforward evangelistic message. And keep in mind that you may be engaging people that maybe it's the first time they're in the church. Maybe they don't know all the jargon that we oftentimes use as Christians. But that is the focus, and that is the goal. Now, the picture here, I have a picture of welcome because you want it to be a welcoming environment. Someone comes in and they're not dressed the way you think they should be dressed. Okay? If you come in and there's a visitor sitting in your seat, don't go up to them and say, hey, that's our seats. Be welcoming, all right? But also there's food there. Sometimes you got to have a hook. I have been in situations where we had a visitor Sunday, and just simply the person inviting someone was able to say, oh, we're having a potluck on Sunday. Will you come to the service with me? I don't know, it kind of sets them more at ease. Oh, a potluck, that's a special thing. I don't know what it does psychologically. It doesn't matter. But food does that. But I will also remind you, the goal isn't to get them to come eat. The goal is to get them to come to the service. So don't just invite them, oh, you have to work? Well, we're eating at 12. Why don't you just... Anyway, the goal has to be the goal. Whether it's Crusade Evangelism, whether it's special church service, we want people to hear the gospel. All right? One that was popular for many years is called Evangelism Explosion. And again, there's criticisms of it. There's going to be criticism on all this. And I get that, but we shouldn't throw out something that could be effective just because, oh, I disagree with this point B of the other 265 points. Well, take point B out then. Anyway, I almost fell over. Evangelism Explosion. First of all, you go up and you introduce yourself. I mean, that's important, right? Hi, my name is, I'm from this. And it uses some of those questions that we dealt with last time a little bit when we talked about conversation starters. Hey, my name's Matt Ritchie. I'm from Croton Community Church. I just want to ask you a few questions. Is that okay? Yeah, sure. I like to answer questions. All right. If you were to die today, do you know if you would go to heaven? Of course, yes or no, and then maybe you'll have to use some of those other questions. How do you know? All of that. Another question you could use is again, we kind of talked about this last week, but suppose you were to die today and stand before God, and he would say to you, why should I let you into heaven? What would you say? And that's what you're doing. You're approaching people. You're introducing yourself. Can I just ask you a question? You ask them the question, and then the goal is you share the right answer with them. So that's basically Evangelism Explosion in a nutshell. There's also something called the five finger. Basically, most people have 5 fingers, okay? And so you can use your fingers to help share the gospel or the gospel message. And look, if you Google 5 finger, you're going to come up with all sorts of weird ways or what the fingers represent. I found some that I'm like, ooh, don't use that one. But this one's a very simple one. And again, maybe you're using this in a kids program. Or maybe not. Maybe it's adults. I don't know. But we're all born in sin. God loved us. Christ died for our sin. Christ rose again. Have faith in him. So again, 5 fingers, and hopefully this just simple illustration helps them remember the gospel. We are all sinners, but God loved us. Christ died for us. He was buried, obviously. Well, he was buried, but he rose again, and we need to have faith. And you can do it backwards too. Start at your pinky. I don't care. But that's another way just to simply explain the gospel. Another thing is a questionnaire survey. People like to answer questions. They like to do surveys. Most people do if they have time. We did this when I was helping with the youth group in Duncansville, Grace Family Bible Church in Duncansville. We went out. We had questions for the kids to ask the people, and also a tract to leave with the gospel message in it. And it was basically kind of this approach. Now, did we use these specific questions? Probably not. Again, these are just kind of suggestions or to get the juices flowing on ideas. But anyway, I'm going to go through this with you, and it may be something you use. So, this is something you can go door to door, approach someone and say, oh, would you mind helping us fill out a survey? All right? I would probably, to kind of get them to understand, maybe get them in okay with spiritual things, you say, we're from such and such a church. Would you mind if you fill out a survey? Or if you don't want them to say no right away, say, would you mind if you helped us fill out a survey? Yes, okay, well, we're from such and such a church. And then you say something like, well, I'm asking people this question. And then it's similar to Evangelism Explosion. If you died tonight, are you 100% sure that you would go to heaven? And again, maybe you use another approach. Maybe you have a few questions before this. Do you go to church anywhere? I don't know. But we're not going to go. You and I are not going to decide all this and go out and do it. Some of you aren't even anywhere near me as far as living. It's just to kind of get the juices flowing. So you ask that, and then you use a follow-up question. Once again, the goal is to share the gospel. So maybe you ask, if I could show you how you could know that when you died you would go to heaven, would you be interested? Okay, again, you're leaving the question up to them. You can switch and swap questions or ask questions leading to those questions, all of those things. Well, what do you do if they say, no, I'm not interested, get off my property? Well, then you say, oh, well, I respect that, but could I leave you with this? And if they say no, or they slap it out of your hand, okay, fine. Don't put it in their door, or don't put it in their mailbox, or don't, open their window and sneak in and put it on the couch. Please don't do that. But you kind of done what you tried. Okay, I guess. Anyway, here are some other questions, I think, that you could use in the survey, such as when you die, what do you think is on the other side? You could ask things like, do you want to go to heaven? You could ask, and then you could follow up with, do you know how to get there? Do you know how to go to, or do you want to go to heaven? Do you know how to get there? Can I show you how to get there? And so those are just some, simple questions you can use in a survey to go up and engage people with the gospel. Doesn't seem quite as confrontational because you're asking them questions and taking them through the gospel. Okay, here's some other ways. First of all, it's tracts. Now, I understand that some are of the opinion that tracts just don't work anymore. And we could have a discussion about that. But the thing is with tracts is it's getting the word out there. You see these pictures, like, what's this? Maybe they read it and just go, okay? I've been handing out tracts before, and I've had people say, thank you. I've had people say, no thanks. I've had people take it, and then I see them throw it in the trash. You know what? Your goal isn't what they do with it. I have never, when they've thrown it in the trash, I've never gone out, picked it out, and said, hey, you dropped this. That's not what you do. You're just trying to get the word out. And really what you're doing, the same as in personal evangelism. I tried to emphasize last week, you're letting you are just being the vessel that gets the word out for the Holy Spirit to work. It's the same thing with tracts. The word is make sure they share the gospel first of all, and then use them to don't litter, but use them to get the word out to allow the Holy Spirit to work. Is God's word sharper than any two-edged sword? Well, then why do we think getting God's word out to people won't work? But a simple way to say it is, things like, well, I have a whole list here. You could have some tracts and say, oh, did you get one of these? Oh, no, I didn't. I don't ask, would you like one? Did you get one of these? And again, what people do with it from there on out, tracts are relatively cheap. If they drop them, pick it up and reuse it, But trying to make receiving it more desirable than, hey, you need to have this. That sounds desirable, but it's a little too in your face. Oh, did you get one of these? And maybe you do this, on the street corner, or at a, I know people do it at, there was a, farmer's market. They were standing outside. Oh, did you get one of these? So that's one way that you could use the tracts. And you see this one up here. Face the facts. End of the denial. You want one that's very catchy and makes somebody go, and at least opens it up to see what's inside and prayerfully reads it all. When you go to restaurants, you can place your tip in a tract. It probably won't be the first time a server's got the tip, but you can see this tract down here. and it's with a $5 bill on. Here's what I'm going to caution you about. If you are going to give a tip that looks like a $5 bill, do not leave less than $5. I have worked in a restaurant, and I can tell you that what you have just done, you put this tip $5, like, oh, yeah, they only got coffee. That's neat. That's quite a tip. And then they see you left, there's like 2 quarters in there. You have, yeah. Don't be a cheapskate when you're trying to get the gospel out. I would encourage you, if you're not going to leave $5 or more, well, don't leave this track. But anyway, that's one way you can place a chip in a track. Another way, you can have a coupon track at a grocery store. I know one gentleman, he took tracks and put them in all the 6-packs of beer. I don't know if that's the most effective way. Someone's drunk after their 6th beer, and, oh, what's this thing? I don't know, but I'll leave that between them and the Lord. But you can have a coupon track at a grocery store, which, here's one of those. Free. Everyone likes to see the word free. Turn to the back, and it gives the gospel, the free gift of eternal life through Jesus Christ. Send them in cards, birthday cards. We here at Bible Doctrines, we have a birthday track. We have a graduation track. If you send out Christmas cards, here's all sorts of different options for Christmas cards. And so certainly put them in your birthday cards or Christmas cards and mail them out. Send them in bills. They say don't send anything with these bills. Well, I know when I get bills, I get all sorts of junk in them. So here's a kind of paid in full, and we have other ones that you can send them in. And once again, who knows how the Lord's going to use that, if it gets to the right person or not. I know you'll have some that say, please don't do that. I was a bill receiver so use your discretion. But that's another suggestion at least. Go to where people are. Go to parades. Go to events. There have been tents set up at different community events. With Bible Doctrines used to have an Are You Ready tent for that purpose. And they would have interactive things that share the gospel and giving tracts out and all of those things. At parades, walk the parade route. You're in a public space. Hand out tracts with people. Here's Halloween tracts. I don't think I mentioned them. I don't think it's on our list. But Halloween, that's the one night a year people come to your door to get something from you. So give them a decent treat and give them the best treat, the gospel, and make sure they get that. So, those are all some simple ways to use tracts. This is our most popular one here. My life was saved by a blood donor. That's the front. The back is a simple gospel, the Romans Road that we went through last week. Here's a thank you tract. Here's just one of them. We have hairdresser, we have police officers, we have military, we have firefighters, we have, I think we have everything. UPS driver. And so that's another way. You go get your hair done. Oh, thank you. You give a tip and also have one of these. Thank you. And give it out. So that's some ways you can use tracts. Start conversations with people. I know last week we talked about conversation starters. These are a little bit different. First of all, we have the Tombstone example. And here's how this strategy works. And once again, context is important. Personalities are important. Sometimes your relationship with the person is important. These things are not going to work in every situation. All right, let's admit that. I'm trusting that you are able to be discerning and use your discretion. Okay, but these are ways to get people to think about their need for the gospel and give you an opportunity to present the gospel. First of all, I have up here the tombstone example. You ask people to identify the 3 main items on a tombstone. And, usually the 3 main items are the person's name, their date of birth, and their date of death. And you can use that in a variety of ways. I've heard people say recently, oh, what do you do between the dash? Or when your date is on your tombstone, where will you be? Where will you be after that date of death? Where are you going to spend your eternity when your body's in the grave? Once again, depending on how it's been going so far, you could ask something like, hey, you know what? I can guarantee you, this person lived for, I'm not going to do the math right now, actually not too long, 22 years. So 22 years, but I can guarantee you, you are going to be dead a whole lot longer than you'll be alive. Where are you going to spend that time? That's just some ways you can use a tombstone to share, or to get to sharing the gospel. Here's another one. 150 years from now, most of us are not going to reach our 150th birthday. As a matter of fact, if I were a betting man, I would place everything I have on the fact that you are not going to reach 150. But who knows? But here's you can kind of use this to get people once again to consider their what's really important, eternal things. You can ask something like 150 million years from now, do you think it will matter how much money you had, what model your car was, how many rooms are in your home, all of that? And you can ask that, and of course not, or hey, I never thought of that. I'm putting all this effort into making sure I get this, and 150 years from now, am I even going to be remembered, and all of those things. And that leads into a discussion of the temporary things versus eternal things. Yeah, sure, providing for your family, that's important. And I'm going to even say, getting moments of rest, that's important. But what's really important right now is I want you to consider your eternal destination. Then you can ask them, I don't know what you start with, but you ask the question, what then? And basically what you're doing is you're going to keep asking it. So what are you doing tomorrow? I think I'm going to, I have to work tomorrow, and then, me and my wife, we're going out for a date, and then we'll probably come back and I'll watch the game, and what then? I'm going to bed. Well, what about next week? Well, next week I think we have. What about next year? What then? What? And you're getting them just to get to death. Well, I guess then I'll be dead. I don't know. And then you ask it one more time. Well, I guess I die then. I mean, I'm not going to be around. I'll probably be around 83 years, and then I'm dead. And you say, what then? And then you can lead to eternity. Anyway, this is another. This is another one. I don't know. In my mindset, it's not one you want to go up to a complete stranger standing there waiting for the bus and say, there's a 100% chance you will die. It might work for some people. It certainly wouldn't of me. But again, context is important and circumstances and all those things, but it's something you can use to get people to it's a strategy you can use to get people to consider their eternity. So you can say it that way. There's a 100% chance that you will die. And you can talk about probabilities, talk about sports bets, and what do you think about, such and such winning, the championship this year? Man, they beat the odds, didn't they? Well, the only thing I know that's 100% in life is death and taxes, I guess, but you don't want to talk about taxes. So there's a 100% chance that you will die. Or you could say something like, I heard that 7 out of 10 people choose this brand, but I guarantee you 10 out of 10 people are going to die. And the reason you're getting them through to think about the fact that eternity is an awful long time. And maybe that's part of, if you're using this strategy, maybe that's part of what you bring into it. Eternity is a long time. Make sure you have the right answer. And again, you don't want to just leave them with that. You want to have given them the right answer, which is the gospel of Jesus Christ. That yes, they have a need, but that need has been provided for by God through Jesus Christ. That he died for their sins, he was buried, he rose again. And you want them to consider this is really the only answer. The only way to know you're going to spend eternity in a wonderful place is to have trusted in Jesus Christ. Another kind of strategy is to focus on the fact are they going to wake up tomorrow? And so at some point in the conversation, whatever you're talking about, or you can bring it around to the fact that, can you guarantee that you will wake up tomorrow morning? Maybe that questionnaire survey I had, maybe that's the question you want to focus on. You ask them all sorts of questions. Where do you think you'll be tomorrow? Or, how much, what do you think about the gas prices? And I don't know. And then can you guarantee that you will wake up tomorrow morning? Oh, that's a deep question. All of them would kind of, kind of shallow so far, but again, and maybe you end with, if the conversation's going well after you share the gospel, if you don't wake up tomorrow, because the Bible says none of us are promised another moment. So you need to know right now where you'll be when you die, and share the gospel. And maybe you leave with, if they're just yeah, I guess, but maybe you leave with, well, you shouldn't put your head on the pillow tonight unless you know exactly where you're going to spend your eternity. Here's a track, and here's my phone number. If you have any questions, however you want to do it. Maybe you see someone that's wearing a cross. Crosses are popular. Maybe a cross on their shirt. Maybe it's a necklace. Maybe it's a tattoo. I don't know. Why do you wear that cross? And they say, oh man, I think it's cool, or it stands for this. Or you can say, can I tell you what happened on a cross almost 2,000 years ago? You share the gospel. Here's another thing to get them to think. What is the most important thing in the world to you? Some people, if their wife is standing there, they'll say, my wife. No. And if she's not standing there. It's a little joke there. Or my family. Or maybe, they're my job. Or maybe they're really honest and say, hey, man, my swimming pool. Or I don't know. So you let them talk and say, yeah, man, you know what? I really enjoy going to baseball games. That's great in life. And then you say, but you know what? When you die, what do you think the most important thing to you will be? And maybe they'll say, well, making sure my family is provided for, or something like that. But then just say, but what about you? And share the gospel. Basically, what you're trying to do is you are trying you want people to what's the word I'm looking for? You want the gospel to permeate. You want them to consider it and not just throw it away. But you want to get in there and let the Holy Spirit work. And some of these questions are made to get them to think. Death, what comes after? Where am I going to be? And what they're giving their life to. You're so busy about these things, but what about when those things don't matter anymore? And so get them to consider eternal matters, because this life is very good at distracting us from what comes after death. That death is not an end, but it is the beginning of a new, I'll use the word experience. And there's only one of two places where we will experience life after death. That's either in eternal condemnation or eternal joy in heaven or hell. And we want people to know there is a way to know they are going to heaven, and that's through the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Sometimes when you talk to people, you have to, am I allowed to say get them lost? I understand realistically they are lost, but you have to get them to acknowledge that. You have to get them lost. You have to show them, no, you have a need. No, things aren't good. No, you're not okay. And you have to get them lost. Ray Comfort and Kirk Cameron, they're good at this. And I am going to give you a disclaimer. This is what I was going to say earlier, and I said I would say it later. So now I'm saying it now, if you're following me. But they're good at this in that there used to be a video called Open Air Preaching. I don't think I still have it, but I couldn't find it. The video in its entirety, the one that I used to watch and show. But I did find a few YouTube links that also give, it's the same basic information. So I'm going to post them. There's a page with this video series. And all the worksheets are there, and different links that I've recommended are there. So they're going to be there. All right? So just go to, again, BibleDoctrines.org. Click on the, you can either click on videos and click to the Evangelism 101 page, or you can go when you go to the home page, click on that banner ad that talks about downloading worksheets, and it should take you to the page. Here's lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, or lesson 1 worksheet download. And then if there are any links that I've recommended or the books that I've recommended, it will link to their page. Anywho, for lesson 9, there will be links to 3 YouTube videos of Ray Comfort. And look, I understand. I've had people say, well, they believe this or they teach this. I get we may not agree with everything that they say. Okay? I'll admit that. But you do have to give them credit. They are very good at what they do. And going out there and, going into a crowd, going where people are and getting them to consider you have a need. And then sharing the solution, which is Jesus Christ. And that's why I post those videos there, so you could see how he does it. And what used to amaze me, I can't be there to watch it with you, and I wish I could find the specific video that I used to watch, because I know in that one, he went to college campuses, and what he did is he was talking about the law. And you'll see it if you watch the videos. But he's trying to get them to see that they fall short of the glory of God. And even in 1 Timothy, it says, the law is not for the godly, but for the, let me just look it up. 1 Timothy 1, verse 7, says, they're desiring to be teachers of the law. They don't understand neither what they say nor whereof they affirm. We know that the law is good, if a person uses it lawfully. Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient, for the ungodly, for the sinner, for unholy, profane, for murderers, or fathers and murderers, or mothers, for manslayers, for whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind. There's a big list. For men stealers, for liars, for perjured persons, and if there be any other thing that I haven't specifically mentioned that is contrary to sound doctrine according to the glorious gospel of the blessed God, which is committed to my trust. The law is not made for you to now I have to keep these things. But the law can be useful. I mean, 1 Timothy is one of Paul's, I'll say, later letters. And he's telling Timothy, we know it's good, and we know it's useful, not for keeping believers under control, but for the sinner to show them that they are sinners. And so I believe that that's what they do, Ray Comfort does when he goes out, is he uses the law to say, hey, you have a need, and brings them to Jesus Christ. So just, I encourage you to watch them and notice that, but also notice his tone. He's not out there to browbeat people. You'll see, I think several of the videos I chose specifically because, I mean, this person, they're going back and forth, but he ends with, he realizes when they're not getting anywhere. So he'll say, thank you. He'll thank them. Thank you. Will you consider it? And he leaves on a positive note, I guess you could say. It's friendly. Because look, if you leave by saying, all right, get out of here, jerk, you've just cut yourself off. That person's never going to ask you any questions again. And you've also made it much harder for the next person to come and witness. Oh, you're one of those jerks that likes to yell at people about going to hell and all of that. We want to share the gospel, but we don't want to be, well, I'll use the same word, a jerk doing it. And I'm not saying we have to hide certain aspects of the gospel. Don't take my words out of context. But we should, many times we point to Christ. Look, Christ, he overturned the tables. We need to be like that. Christ wasn't dealing with sinners. He was dealing with self-righteous people that should have known better. He went and he ate with sinners. So just, anyway, keep that in mind. That's my little message. One more thing I want to say is that another thing I noticed in watching these videos is he's very good at ignoring all the catcalls of others and focusing on that person he can see is struggling. And when he's done doing his whole talking to everybody thing, he'll seek that person out and he'll talk to him in a more personal way. And so, if you're ever doing kind of open air preaching like that, that's what we're looking for. We're not out there to look and grab this button. I said, accept the Lord. We're not out there to, duke it out with people, accept the Lord. No, you're wrong. We're just out there. We certainly want to share the gospel with everyone, but especially when we see that person. Their eyes are glistening, or you can see they're really thinking it over. And we want to help bring that person along to have faith in the Lord. Look, these are all very practical things. Maybe you use none of these. I don't really care, as long as you're out there sharing the gospel. I've already mentioned that one-on-one evangelism, I believe, is the most effective. It's not as kind of confrontational. You're just talking with someone. But all of these strategies I went through this evening, they're also ways or perhaps tools you can use to get the gospel out. Evangelism, it's a very practical thing. Basically what it comes down to is getting into a conversation with someone and turning it to spiritual matters, of sharing the good news of Jesus Christ. And look, that's a big part of why we are still here on earth as God's ambassadors. Not just to live godly so people see a change in us, that's certainly important, but it's also to be God's mouthpiece to share his good news with a lost and dying world. All right, well, that's the lesson for this evening, but before we go, I mentioned Evangelist Lee's book on Crusade Evangelism. If you are interested in that, you can call the office. I'll give you here at Bible Doctrines to Live By, or go to our website. But if you want this special deal that I'm going to give you, you need to give us a call. Crusade Evangelism, and it goes through, and Lee used to do this quite often, do what he called Crusade Evangelism, and it goes through the steps. And, there's some good information there, even if you're not going to have a tent revival per se, but there's good information to get you to think through all of this. So anyway, Crusade Evangelism by Lee Hamoki, usually $2.50. We're offering it for $1, plus whatever shipping is. And this offer is going to be good till Monday. So it's good till August 23rd, and I made sure to put the date. So if it's 2038, and you say, hey, I saw, on your program there that you're offering this book for $1, and somebody's here that's not me, or I'm here and I'm senile, and I don't know. I can't remember what I did last week, let alone 17 years ago. But anyway, I don't know why I went so long on that. But anyway, Crusade Evangelism, if you're interested, $1 plus shipping and handling, or just shipping. We'll handle it for free. But August 23rd, Monday, 2020, the offer is good for. If you would like to give towards the broadcast, that's the information you're going to need. Mark, if you want it specifically designated for the broadcast, mark that appropriately on your check or on your electronic giving source. But our address here, if you're going to use postal service, Bible Doctrines to Live By, P.O. Box 564, Comstock Park, Michigan, 49321. All right. So before I let you go this evening, and before you can go do whatever you have planned to do after this, whether it's go to bed, eat a snack, go out and cook s'mores, whatever it is, I'll let you do it. But first, let's have a word of prayer. God and Father, thank you once again for this opportunity to just talk about and see. Sometimes we get so narrow-minded about what evangelism is, and we think we have to do it in a certain way. But if nothing else, Father, I just pray that this evening we have seen that what it comes down to is reaching out to people to share the gospel. Sometimes the what, or as long as we are reflecting your compassion for them and your long-suffering toward them, Father, the how we do it and the methods we use and the strategies we use are not as important as the fact that we are desiring and getting the gospel out there. So, Father, help us to be sensitive to ways to share. and not just to look for open doors of opportunity, but Father, that we are creating opportunities to share the wonderful news that your Son died for sins, was buried and rose again, and that faith in him alone will take us from death unto life everlasting. So, Father, we step out in faith as we seek to be your representatives here in this oftentimes disappointing world that we live in. But help us not to take our aggression on our aggression of what the world's doing out on people who need the Lord. But let us be compassionate toward them, because Satan has blinded their hearts, and we just want to shine the light that you can use to bring them to a saving knowledge of you. So, thank you for our opportunity we've had together this evening. Thank you for giving us this opportunity we have in Jesus Christ. We have eternal life. What a life we've been given. In the name of Jesus Christ I pray. Amen. Once again, thank you. We'll see you next week.
People need the Lord. People